Okay, now the continuation. Yeah. So the second chapter on this topic is actually the business environment. Here we will discuss all these topics: analyzing the business environment, Johnson's course approach of environment analysis, organizing its environment, analyzing uncertainty, textual analysis. Then key legislation, span of control, outsourcing, SWOT analysis, external appraisal, value chain, then value network, quotas, 5 horses model. So these we will discuss in this continuation of this topic. Now, when we operating a business, business is not operating on its isolation. You cannot operate any business on its isolation. You need to interact with the outside environment. So you need to shape up. Your business need to shape up according to the rapid changes in the environment. So if you try to be rigid while the environment is keep changing, then you cannot succeed and win in the this business at the current era of this environment. So strategic management method we need to use is no organization is likely to achieve its aim if it fails to take into account the characteristics of the environment. If you close your eyes and wait, close the doors and then we operate our business inside here, we don't worry about anything happen outside, no, then you will fail. The environment is everything that surrounds an organization, physically and socially, even morally also. So everything surrounded your organization, both physically and socially, are known as environment. Johnson and Scholes approach. So there are two theorists. They have done some analysis about how to approach the environment. First they say, assess the nature of the environment. Is it changing? If you are inside a lab, scientific lab, a chemical lab, in there the environment, what do you think? Will it change or it is static?
It will change.
You are doing a test inside a lab, okay? You wanted to find out what is the outcome of some test. So you are setting up everything before you do the test. And then once you start the test, would you be changing what you have set up already or you will keep it as fixed? So in a lab, in a chemical lab, in a scientific lab, environment is very static, temperature fixed, humidity fixed, AC environment, all that fixed, sound, noise fixed, everything will be fixed. Then only one thing will vary, mixing the chemicals or changing the only one variable to find out what is the outcome. You will use a rat, or you will use a rabbit, or you will use a light, or you will use anything, and to find out what the outcome is. Clear? So, first you need to find out. But if the environment is changing, then you need to be wary about it. Now, in a real life business world, environment is keep changing. We cannot really, be rigid while the environment is exchange right now. It goes like this hell. So then, if I am a trader internationally at least between Sri Lanka and Qatar, and if I am not worried about what the exchange rate is going on happening at this moment, I am a loser, isn't it? So you got to understand that. That's what they say. First you identify. Second, identify those influences. What are the influences which are reflecting for the changes affected organizations in the past or which are likely to do so in the future? Then prepare a structural analysis identifying the key forces at the work in the immediate or competitive environment. What are the forces? It's reflecting. Once factors have been identified, then you keep on asking further question. What is the organization position in relation to the other organization? You may compare with your competitor. You may compare with your supplier, customer. You may compare with another fellow organization, a peer, and find out what is my position. Then what threats and opportunities are posed by the environment. Find out all this. Okay. So there are different types of environmental study. Whether are we reaching globally or locally, or are we our activities are general activity or task based activity. And you see, this is one diagram that is elaborating. This is my organization. These all are variables in the environment, and we are living with 1, 2, 3, 4 circles. The immediate first circle is organization, that is connected with suppliers, labor, capital, profit to see capital. What is the what do you call reflection? You need to give profits. Labor, you need to pay wages. Suppliers, you have to get the goods to supply to customers, and this could have a result reflect to pollution. And here you purchase material from suppliers, and you have within this circle political, technology, society and culture and economy. Here general environment, and these two are physical and macro environment, and also you have micro task environment. Clear? Analyzing uncertainty. The amount of uncertainty in the environment can be assessed by considering simplicity or complexity and stability or dynamism. What is uncertainty? There's two words, risk and uncertainty. Risk we can quantify mathematically. Uncertainty we cannot mathematically quantify. That's the main difference between risk and uncertainty. So, if the organization is very simple, in terms of uncertainty is very low. You can easily predict. But as you grow, it is complex but stable. Then there will be the amount of uncertainty but not that much. It is simple but unstable. Moderate to high uncertainty, and finally complex and unstable, top level uncertainty. Clear? Various factors will result into changing environment. Globalization, China, India, Qatar, US, UK, Europe, every different connections and activities. Science and technology keep changing. Now mobiles. Who thought that we going to use this TV as a board? No one thought. No? Technology. And even now we have this smartphone. We can write on that. So, mergers, acquisitions and strategic alliances. A good example is Australian ANZ Greenless Bank. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So before there was a Greenless Bank, before Australian New Zealand Bank. They merged and they become ANZ Greenless Bank. So many businesses now merging to diversify away the competition. You two are two restaurants operating in the same side of the state, and you then what happens is that customers are departing. Then you two talk together, and there's a third restaurant, you two merge. Then the customer comes here or here, still with you. In Sri Lanka, toothpaste. Signal is there. There used to be SR. But to be honest, that's from one company, from Unilever. You buy Signal or you buy SR, money goes to Unilever only. But for the customer, he doesn't know. Understand me? So this type of strategies to, even the mergers, strategic alliance. What is strategic alliances? They are not really the actual partners. From the customer's eyes, they seems to be one single organization. But in real internal structure, they are not legally or one organization. Even they just for the name's sake, just to attract the customer, they are together. That's all. But then later, they will separate. Increased scrutiny of business decisions by public and government. Now money laundering and every bank is scanned and you cannot send money more than this much outside Qatar and so much of regulations. Increased liberalization of trade. Yes. Now the trade is not like before. Now electronized. Too many. Now you can sell from here sitting here. You can sell to Ethiopia without any hassle. So changes in business practice. Downsizing, outsourcing. See what is downsizing? You reduce the size of the organization in terms of laying off employees, in terms of closing branches, in terms of minimizing your activities like that. Outsourcing. You hire another company to come and perform some of your internal jobs. Accounting, IT, catering, those type of services. Re-engineering is totally restructuring your business process. Changes in social and business relationship between companies and their employees, obviously. Now that after this pandemic, the social relationship became a different milestone now. Totally changed. Customers and other stakeholders. So these are reflecting our changing environment. Pestle, political, economic, social, technological, environmental and legal. Now you could draw a diagram here like this. Political, economical, social, technological and environmental and legal. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the elements of the. You need to study the changes related to this or the variation related to this. And then now we're going to talk about each factor. Impacting the environment in degree of government intervention. Now in Sri Lanka, strike, Polymer and Sons Private Limited. Yes, Promo app. Abhi tame honda ta kare. So that's a Promo app. So policy direction related to now fuel and oil and gas and dollars and stuff like the political risk or stability. So the uncertain. So that is one information you need in making your business strategies. Before you really decide your business strategy, you have to gather that information. Then impact of government, capacity expansion, tax incentives, capital allowances or local incentives. Suddenly Gotabay came in and he said that tax he gave a lot of tax benefits to the companies, and that resulted a huge impact to country subsequently. Demand, customer, infrastructure projects or legislation or tax relief. Emerging industries or promoting new type of industries so that the country's economic stays going up. Then promoted to damage by government. Entry barriers, quotas or tariffs. They stop totally importing vehicles. That is one entry barrier. You can easily recall the examples now. Competition, purchasing decisions, regulations and controls, infrastructure, mergers, legislation. In UK, There's a act called Murchison Acquisition Act. As you think, you cannot merge like that. You need to get special permission. International trade, European Union is an arrangement to have single currency within several countries to have single currency and single rule to operate business. And World Trade Organization you have, and also you have Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So this will create influences on your international trade. Legal environment. So it's a sort of law that is coming in. Parliamentary legislation, government regulation, treaty obligation, official regulation, and international bodies. I believe it's self-explanatory. What are the key legislation? Employment law, health and safety law, data protection, consumer protection. If you feel anything you don't understand, let me know. I'm just simply reading and continuing, presuming you understood. A point when you don't understand anything, you feel free to let me know. Is that okay? Otherwise, some points here are straightforward. So no point of spending more time on that. That's my thinking. Anyway, legal framework for employees. Employees in many countries are protected by a range of laws. Termination of employment. You cannot simply terminate employees as you want. You need to comply with certain laws. Health and safety in the workplace. Insurance, the dress code, the goggles, helmet, all that. Recruitment. Now you see if someone to come from our countries, we need to have a labor contract is attested, and that is sent to Sri Lanka, and then again attested there. So some sort of protection that they are looking at. And in Sri Lanka we need to pay bureau fees. That's an insurance. So equal opportunities. So there's no discrimination. Do you know what the discrimination means? In an organization, if you treat the male staff and the female staff differently, that is discrimination. If you treat a white and a black differently, that is discrimination. If you treat rich and the poor differently, that is discrimination. So here we encourage no discrimination, equal options based on the right, deserving candidate. So how you can do the termination? Employees are afforded a great deal of legal protection in many countries. Meaning, the termination of employment must be treated with great care. If you terminate somebody, the employee can go to courts. So, reasons for termination of employment: retirement, resignation, dismissal, and redundancy. Retirement, I believe all of you understand. Resignation also, I believe you understand. What is dismissal? Yes, we employer send him off. And redundancy. During Corona time or some before, let's say in my company I have 100 staff, but I don't have that much business with me. I cannot cope up keeping this 100. I have to reduce. So I may have to reduce another 30-40 staff. So that reducing is what you call redundancy. Actually, this is one type of dismissal.
Kind of termination.
Yeah. This is one area for question. Carefully understand this. Types of dismissal. There are two types of dismissal. One is wrongful, other one is unfair. What is wrongful? Where the employee has been dismissed and the employer has breached the terms of contract. So I say I'm the employer, he is the employee. I have a personal grudge with him. I just terminated because of that. But we have a contract and he never breached any terms in that contract. I breached it. So it's a wrongful dismissal. So if we go to courts, I will be guilty. Okay? But here, where the employee has been dismissed for an arbitrary reason, the onus is on employer to prove that it was a fair dismissal. Now, second case, again employer dismissed an employee, but employer never breached a contract, but employer is now under obligation to justify in front of the authorities that my dismissal is fair. He must have reasons. For example, let's say this employee, you dismissed him based on his attendance. You are saying he is coming late. So you have terminated him. He went to courts. And then you now go into courts, and you should have enough proof to say that I did terminate it on his type of attendant because he is not punctual, and here are my evidences. Our office start time is 8 o'clock, he is coming at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. I had been given 2 warning letters and 3 warning letters. He never complied, so I dismissed. If you don't have all those, then you are under guilty. So that's what the word here, honest, means. Problem is on my hand to justify.
The employer side.
Employer side, yes. Clear?
So why they say unfair dismissal means it is from the employee side.
Sort of, until you prove that you are okay, that's unfair. Suddenly you come in the morning, I tell him, you get out. You are terminated because of your attendance. At that point of time, it is unfair. Until when I prove that it is based on the factual evidence. Clear? I was going there. Data protection and security. In UK, it's very critical everywhere also. The right of the individual to control the use of information about him or her, including information on financial status, health and lifestyle, prevent unauthorized disclosure. Now, many businesses, they collect data. Even if you ordering food, they will take your phone number, email ID, house address, GPS location, everything they will get. Wherever you do. So they collect the data. So now the question is, how safe that data is with them? So that's what there is, the right of individual to control the use of information about him or her, including information on financial status, health and lifestyle. Prevent unauthorized disclosure. The UK Data Protection Act 2018 protects individuals about whom data is held. Both manual and computer information must comply with it. So, reasons for concern. Fear that the information could be misused, obviously. Now, how you think that we all receive SMS from different marketing companies? How they got our number? Somebody distributed. Understood? So, even I know in Doha, I can get 1,000 phone numbers paying 500 riyal. 2,000 phone numbers, something like that. In Sri Lanka, I used to do this. I buy. Because we are in this business now, so we need to share our information to customers. So I need a means to reach. So, but here, transfer at high speed at little cost. The key risk affecting data are given under technical malfunction, deliberate or malicious action, hacking. So those are dangers. Data protection principles. Personal data, information about a living individual, including expression of opinion about him or her. Now, I watched one movie. There was a scene. The police, the court case. So they caught a thief, and they are asking, do you accept that you are the reason for this stealing? He says, I'm not the only one. I have a partner for this stealing. And the judge is asking, who is the partner? He is pointing the owner. Then all of the people are in that scene is puzzled. He says, my lord, he in his Facebook, he posts all his activities. So he says, one day I am going for a long trip for 3 days. Then I know his house is empty. I mean, no one is there. So I use that time to go and steal. So he is the one who told me to go and steal. So there was a movie story like this, but that's what you know about human data, about the organization is not personal data, living individual. So data users, organization or individual who control the contents of files of personal data which is processed automatically. Data subject. Now who is the data? Now these are what you call I would say fields. Okay. So data subject, an individual who is the subject of personal data. Now let's say for example in Uridu company, my name is a data subject. You understand at least. Data controllers determine the purpose and means of processing personal data, and data processors are responsible for processing the personal data on behalf of controllers. They will tell these people to process, and they are like us, and personal data our information, and they are the other organization who use our information. These attributes are clear. UK Data Protection Act includes 6 protection principles: lawfulness, fairness and transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity and confidentiality or security. So these 6 factors covered in this law. Health and safety. Both employees and employer have a duty to maintain a health and safety standards at work for the following reason. Now, what you call this? Casualty. Could you entertain casualty in a company? You cannot never entertain casualty in a company. You can even have the building collapse or fire or anything can happen, but you cannot afford to lose an employee. So that's the top prime most objective under health and safety. So meet legal obligation, minimize the risk of accidents, minimize the risk of litigation. But that's also one objective. Sometimes if the accident comes and an employee goes and file a case, then you try to minimize the litigation. As you understood what the meaning of litigation, no? So employees' duties. So what is the duties of employees? Take care of themselves and others. Very in flight when you travel, they say they talk about the wearing the oxygen mask. They say that first wear for you and then look after your children. So that's what they take care of themselves and others. Do not interfere with machinery. If you don't know anything, don't mingle with that. Just keep the distance. Okay? Use all equipment properly. Now, it's very critical for the type of organization. If you are in a plant, you have the riggers. You don't allow anyone to be a rigger unless he is certified. And you don't allow any equipment to use unless that equipment is also certified. So, inform an employer of any potentially dangerous situation. Clear? Health and safety policy. Many employees have a health and safety policy which details statement of principles, details of safety procedures, compliance with the law, instruction on equipment use, training requirements. Is that clear? Okay. Now, tell me how many hazards you are finding here in this picture. What are the problems you have?
This person is using a wheelchair.
This one?
Yeah.
So, what is the problem here? Tell me that.
You
can move.
Wheelchair.
Wheelchair is that only one problem?
And TV
Top.
lot.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
There is cable when she is working.
No, we'll come from here. Wheelchair is one problem, understood. And this TV, and if we stand up, he might hit this, what do you call that, shelf, and this computer or TV can fall.
Whatever in his hand also can.
And he seems to be an old man,
Old man,
and he's carrying
heavy
a
object.
heavy object. So these are dangerous. Okay, now moving to this side. What else?
She's bringing hot tea.
Yes.
And there are cables. She could
Yeah,
fall.
she could fall. And the way the cables are. Okay. The way the cables are arranged is correct?
No.
No. And what about this? Is it okay to keep it here? No. And
And the drawer is open.
Also.
door is also open. And see the connection given here. That's also quite dangerous. And see where this is kept. In the very edge.
Yeah, edge.
And if he falls, khalas, khatam ho gaya. And what about this?
What is that?
This is dustbin.
Dustbin.
Okay?
Wrong place.
Wrong place. And then what is this?
For smoking.
Smoke. And what is this? It's a document tray.
Yeah.
And then you see here fire
Yeah, it's a-
and here document tray. And here you have scissor. And if she comes and falls, she may fall here also. Understood? And also the flower basket is kept in the very edge of that cupboard. So these all are problems. They're like that only you need to see. Then only you will find out. Clear? So these are the answers. What is a contract? That we will discuss in our next class.